Somewhere in America, in a pizza restaurant, a crew worked through the night. They did not remove the robots. That is the part almost nobody remembers. They kept the bodies, the same steel frames, the same motors, the same hands that had played the same songs for a decade, and they rebuilt them into somebody else's characters. By morning, the band a generation grew up with was gone, and something wearing its skeleton was standing in its place. It happened in hundreds of restaurants across America between 1990 and 1993, and it happened because 2 years before that, one man had said no. His name was Aaron Fechter. In the late 1970s, in Orlando, Florida, he built something nobody had really built before. Full animatronic rock band. Not a puppet. A stage of machines that played instruments, told jokes, argued with each other, and performed complete shows. He called it the Rock-afire Explosion. It took him years. Custom valves, custom control systems, a programming method he worked out himself. There was nothing like it to copy. And Fechter did not just build them. He wrote their material, and he voiced them himself. The bear, the wolf, the bird. Those were not hired actors. That was the inventor, doing the voices of his own machines. In 1980, that band went into a new restaurant chain called ShowBiz Pizza Place, and it worked enormously. For millions of American kids through the 80s, a birthday party meant a dark room, cheap pizza, and a wall of robots that came alive when the curtain opened. It is one of the most specific shared memories that generation has. Now, the other half of the story. There was a rival, Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time Theater, founded by one of the men who created Atari. Same idea, different characters. The two chains fought each other through the early 80s. And then, in 1985, Pizza Time Theater went bankrupt, and ShowBiz bought it. So one company now owned two chains, two mascots, and two animatronic bands. And critically, it owned the Chuck E. Cheese characters outright. But the Rock-afire? The Rock-afire still belonged to Aaron Fechter. That imbalances the whole engine of what comes next. In 1988, the company came to Fechter and asked him to sign over the licensing and the copyrights to the Rock-afire Explosion, not to buy them, to sign them away. By his account, no money was offered for the rights at all. He said no, partly for that reason, and partly because he still believed the band had a future beyond pizza restaurants, cartoons, movies. And then, he says, he found out something else, that the company had worked out how to program his robots on its own, by reverse engineering equipment obtained, in his words, behind his back. He says he discovered it while touring their executive headquarters, and realized new shows were being written for his characters without him. That is his account of it. But whatever the full picture, by 1990 the two sides had severed ties completely, which left the company with a problem. Hundreds of restaurants, every one of them built around a band it did not own, made by a man who would not sign. It could not keep the Rock-afire. It could not afford to gut every stage in the country and start again. So it chose a third option, and gave it a name that sounds like nothing at all. Concept Unification. Between 1990 and 1993, location by location, every ShowBiz Pizza Place was converted into Chuck E. Cheese's, and the animatronics were not thrown out. They were retrofitted, reprogrammed, the same machines, rebuilt and reskinned into a new band with new names, performing new shows they had never been designed for. The work took about a week per restaurant, and they did it in a specific order. Center stage first, then the left. The right-hand stage went last, on the final night, which meant that for those few days, in the middle of its own removal, part of the band was still switched on. Two characters were still running while everything around them came apart, and the company gave them one last thing to do. They were given a farewell show, a final tape, in which those two characters told the family sitting in front of them that the Rock-afire Explosion was going away, and something new was coming. And the voices on that tape were not Aaron Fechter. They were company employees, doing impressions of the characters he had created and voiced for 10 years. His own creations announced their own erasure, in somebody else's voice, night after night, restaurant after restaurant, across the country. When it was finished, the wolf's body had been rebuilt into Chuck E. Cheese himself. His sidekick was removed entirely. The bear and the whole left side of the stage went unused, and the machines that were no longer needed were sold off to other restaurants or destroyed. The Rock-afire Explosion was scrubbed from the merchandise, from the advertising, from the signage, from the entire public existence of a company it had built. And for 30 years, that was the ending. The robots that replaced them played on. A generation grew up, half remembering a band it could not quite name, occasionally arguing online about whether it had imagined the bear entirely. Which brings us to what happened next. And this is the part that reframes everything. In 2023 and 2024, Chuck E. Cheese pulled the animatronic band out of nearly every restaurant it had. Out of all of them but one, a single location in Northridge, California. The chief executive said it was to keep up with the times. The stages came out. In went screens, dance floors, and trampolines. The band that had replaced the Rock-afire was itself erased by the same company for the same reason. So, the question, what happened to the originals? They are in Orlando. Aaron Fechter still has them. He never sold the rights, so he kept a band, and he still runs it in the building his company has occupied for decades, where he is now the only employee, funding the upkeep by giving tours in person, a few hours at a time, to whoever asks. The corporate version is switched off in every restaurant but one. His, the ones he built and voiced and refused to sign away, still play. He did not win, exactly, but he outlasted the thing that replaced him. So tell me in the comments, which band do you actually remember? And did you ever realize they were the same robots?